using our computers sometimes.
You're talking about they should. So we haven't used it, you know, that.
On my old chair.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So anyway.
Okay. You're right. I believe everybody has the basic rules for the forum/debate. Each candidate has 3 minutes to provide an opening statement. During the opening statement, there's no back and forth. You just give your statement and move on to the next candidate. After that, there'll be general topic questions, which will be a series of questions that's asked to each candidate. Again, you'll have 1 minute to respond to those questions, and there's no back and forth. It's just a simple ask and answer. After that comes the topic questions, where each candidate will have 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer. Any other candidate that wishes to respond to that question can do so. They'll have 45 seconds. And the candidate that was originally asked the question will then have 30 seconds for a follow if they wish. After that, we'll proceed to audience questions, if any, that are submitted to the moderator. Same rules on that. You'll have 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer, 45 seconds for any other candidate that wishes to answer the question as well, or the answer provided. And then the original candidate will have 30 seconds to provide a rebuttal. And then at the end, there'll be 1 minute and 30 seconds for any closing statements if you wish. When you have 15 seconds left, you'll bell.
Any other questions before we start? From the candidates? Okay. Well, my name is Phyllis Dell, and I'm here to assist you, and I wish you all good luck, and let's just have a very good, informative debate. And I'm glad everyone here from the town of Shoshoni is here. So without further ado, we're going to start with some general candidate questions. And the first question I'm going to ask is, and we'll go down the list, okay? We'll start with each person and we'll go on down to answer the question. The first question is, why are you running to be on Shoshoni Council? That's the first question, and we're gonna start with, right here, Jordan. Would like to answer that question, please?
Are we answering questions first, or do we get our opening piece?
Pardon me?
Oh, sorry, you're right. I screwed the moderator. I even made the corrections. I'm so sorry. They have their opening 3 minutes each.
Pardon me? Oh,
They have openings too.
okay. Well, like I said, we're in it together, right? Back to we the people.
Thank you,
So
Jordan.
we're gonna do opening statements from each candidate. And we're gonna start then with, pardon me?
That's next.
General topic questions. And those questions are, why are you running to be?
Well, we'll get to that. They have to do their opening statement.
Okay, so let's start. Well, the list says we're gonna go from the top of the list down.
But those
Okay.
are questions you're asking. They have an opening
Okay.
statement.
Opening statement. Gentleman, Jordan, would you like to start, please?
Opening statement, reason I'm running for town council, I guess kind of answers the question too, but, obviously, growing up here, graduated here, I've got a wife and kids here, wife teaches at the school, I coach here, started Shoshoni Hot Summer Nights to provide events for our community here, run a business here, big integral member of getting the park built across the street. Huge on our youth, advocate for our youth to provide, opportunities for our youth. So it's not just the same, town of nothing to do. So they have an outlook, as well as being a voice for our seniors and, being grown up here, I think is important to have been around this place from day one, rather than, no offense to anybody, but, people that have moved in, I think it's harder to understand, aspect and that, maybe not around as much and know the current situation. Not that they can't, understand that situation, but I think somebody that's been around and gets the idea of the town and the troublesomes and the positives and the drawbacks and the reason people live here, want to move here, which is typically, school related or have roots here. But yeah, pretty much sums it up for me.
Go ahead. Mark, would you like to? Mark Nordine to, do your opening
Sure,
statement, 12 minutes. We do a lot for that.
I'll just
So-
take 3.
Go ahead. We'll take what you need up to that time. Thank you.
You bet. So I'm Mark Nordine. We've been in Shoshoni for 3 years, but we've been in Fremont County for 23 years. I'm a dean at Central Wyoming College and I've been doing that job ever since we showed up. I retired from the Air Force. I was teaching at and an administrator in the biology department at the Air Force Academy. And so I retired from my Air Force career and my wife and I moved to Wyoming. My mother was a huge Westerns fan, and when you're watching Westerns and old time Westerns, where did they take place? They took place in Wyoming. So Mom was very proud when we made this move. Let me just say that. So anyway, so we're new. I don't have the long history that Jordan has, and you can be the judge of whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, or maybe it's just an okay thing. We come in. My life again has been in the Air Force. Again, I'm a retired officer from the Air Force, and then also I'm a dean at Central Wyoming College, like I said earlier, and public service has been what we've done. So I've been in amazing discussions, particularly recently here at the college with how to do things and how to get things accomplished in Wyoming. So I think I'm pretty familiar with Wyoming. I think I'm pretty familiar with Fremont County. So it just kind of makes sense. This was something that we would like to do. And why here in Shoshoni? We really love the direction the town is going. I mean, to be blunt and fair, we just simply do. And I think being a part of that to help the forward progress that's been happening and just to be a part of that and support that, I think that's important. And it's something that certainly can do. Again, we're new to the Shoshoni, new ideas. We've liked what we've seen. We want to kind of keep that going. And we're just, frankly, Joe and I are just really happy to be in Shoshoni.
Okay. Bob, would you like to go next? Mr. Bob Zent, please.
Thank you. I'm Bob Zant. I've lived here, the first time was in 1958, the Adams Trailer Court. Moved back and forth. The last time I moved here was in 81. So I've been here for 40 plus years. I've been on the council since I was appointed to the council 7+ years ago. And one of the main factors I wanted at that time that I've not accomplished was getting lights to the school. When the state decided to build a new school, they built a school, they put in roads, no sidewalks. The last administration, when I was first appointed, received a grant for not SLIB, forgot the name. It was through transportation. They put in sidewalks. But we still don't have lights to the school. That's one thing I'd like to have accomplished before I leave office. Shoshoni is a great town. I see progress in it. And we need to continue progress, but also we need to stop and say, what do we need to continue to correct that are presently here? Jordan talked about the youth. There's other things we need to correct, besides evidence of activities for the youth. So senior housing would be one, housing is another area. So that's where I'm at. I'm retired. I taught school in Shoshoni since 81. Retired, built a home here.
Okay, is there anything else you'd like to add at this time?
Not at this time.
Okay, thanks a lot, Bob. Appreciate that. Okay, next, Freddie Ellis, would you please share with us what you'd like to for your, opening?
My name is Freddie Ellis, and my parents came here in 1974 and I graduated in 88 and I did move away. But I'm back now. I bought a house here. It's gonna be my forever house because I love Shoshoni that much. I did serve in the Navy for 8 years. I did not retire from the Navy because I got hurt, unfortunately. I am a lifetime member of the VFW, the Veterans of Foreign Wars. I'm out of Riverton, Wyoming, and my wife is over there. She's a lifetime member of the VFW Auxiliary. So I'm trying to bring a sense of pride for the military back in, such as the flag raising, which I've done twice already this year. People seem to like it. I know I love it. I don't have the experience of my contenders, for lack of a better word, but I am willing to learn. I am willing to put forth the effort to make Shoshoni a better town, you know, a town that we can be more proud of, you know, maybe in 5 to 10 years, hopefully we can increase maybe up to 1,000, 1,200 people, 1,500 people in this town, you know, to make us more than just a dot on the map, you know, to make Shoshoni, you know, just a really great town, which I know it is, you know, and with the leadership of the current mayor and also the past mayors and the leadership of the current city council and past city council, I know we can do it. I know Shoshoni can become a better place with more pride. So, but other than that, I think that's it.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank all of you. Okay, now we're gonna get to the general topic questions for each candidate. Okay. And I guess we'll just start and go from the left to the right since we started that before instead of what's on my list. Go ahead, go ahead.
Spirit, I'll start with Jordan. Well, I would like to see it rotate all the way through, so
Pardon me?
I'd like to see it rotate, so it start with a different.
Rotate, you would like to see
Yeah.
that? You think that would be a fair way to go?
So.
Okay, well, we will have time later also for a few
Yeah.
minutes, well, better, which I understand. I think that's a very valid point. I'm glad you brought that up, okay? So who would you like to start then?
Please.
Let's start with you, Bob. Okay, let me just ask, these are just general candidate questions. Now, why are you running to be on Shoshoni Council or to continue to be, I guess, because you are currently on the council, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, great.
I'm running because people have asked me, several people throughout the community have asked me to run.
Uh-huh,
And that's the main reason. The other reason is I have unfinished business I'd like to have completed. One, I mentioned having the lights to school, free lights to the school. I've talked to Bright Mountain Power in the past about it, and they gave an estimate. That was 6 years ago. My guess that number has doubled. That topic's always been brought up in budget meetings. We applied for one grant, that was refused. And I see the town having money to spend elsewhere, but we're not spending money for the safety of our kids. And that's one I'd like to see done, to protect our citizens of the town who walk to school. There's other things I'd like to see corrected, improved besides that, but that's the main one right now.
okay. The next question. Oh, same question. Would you like to answer that one, Freddie?
Yeah.
For me, please? Thank you. Why are you running to be on Shoshoni Council?
I'm running because, like every town, improvements can be made. And like I said, I don't have as much experience as, you know, my people here, but, like I said, I'm willing to learn. I believe that we should, in addition to having the lights for the children for their safety, I also believe we should take care of our disabled veterans as well, you know, and also forming like a neighborhood watch, you know, to help Chris and his, you know, his two other police officers, you know, to help them. I'm sorry, three, my bad. I'm sorry. But I believe that we could form a small committee of maybe volunteers for, you know, checking on the disabled veterans, you know, maybe volunteering to do some of their yard work, maybe clearing some snow from their sidewalk, even volunteering to take them to a doctor's appointment or do some shopping, okay? As for the neighborhood watch, I think a town of this size with everybody watching for everybody else, you know, like, the speeding cars, you know, are going through neighborhoods, you know, and stopping. You don't know who they are. Well, maybe if we spend more time off the computers and out of the television, maybe we could have, you know, a better, say, safer, community.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now I'm gonna come back to you, Jordan. Same question, why are you running to be on Shoshoni? This kind of sounds a little redundant, but I'm gonna ask again, because that's the way it's laid out. Why are you running to be on Shoshoni Council?
I'm running to be on Shoshoni Council because I care about the town, first and foremost, but secondly, I think, the progress of the town obviously needs to continue forward. We need more housing here to sustain, you know, our school. It's a two-piece way or a two-sided street, but we have to have more housing to sustain the school. Right now, 50% of our population at the school district is out of district. And, you know, solely to keep the funding available. Without the school, you know, the town probably dries up and blows away. I'd also like to keep also running because our infrastructure needs to continue to be updated and completed. Our water system is pretty out of date. It's getting there. There's pieces rolling on that. There's some sewer on a portion of the town that's not been completed and up to date. There's an expansion taking place, which is great, but I think we've got some pieces that need to be taken care of first before we expand totally. But I do think housing needs to be addressed as it's minimal. We also, to have housing, we've got to have jobs. And as we all know, there's minimal jobs. And so how do we attract businesses to be here? And so looking at that matrix, and it's been looked at already, but how do we continue to look at it? But I think I want to run to continue to make sure the town of Shoshone isn't the next
Okay,
Powder River, if you will.
thank you. And for you, Mark Nordine? Did I get that correctly?
You did, yeah.
Okay, same question. Why are you running to be on the Shoshoni Council, please?
Like I said earlier, Joe, my wife and I, really just love Shoshone. You know, and like I said before, I've been in public service my entire life, either in the Air Force or now where I'm a dean at the college. But my experience through each of those two careers is problem solving. Every day there are problems. Today, you know, at the college, there are problems that come through my door that require some creative thinking, require thoughtful thinking, require having the priorities straight. And at the college, it's clearly is our students. I mean, we believe at the college clearly that education is the step into the future for all of our people. So it's important to me as a dean to help overcome some of those barriers that students face when they're at school. It's also important as a dean to be able to help them solve some of the problems while they're attending schools. get them connected to the right people, say for financial aid or schedule development, adding or dropping a class. There's an issue coming up with another student. What should I do? I have a problem with my professor. That's what we deal with, you know, and deal with that on a daily basis. Those problem solving skills, I believe, are going to be quite fruitful working on the town council and trying to help find solutions to the problems that Shoshoni faces. Again, we love Shoshoni but there's still work to be done. And we want to be I want to be a part of that as a town council member. You need money to make this happen. I have some grant experience, and Shoshoni also has a strategic plan that's out there. And it's fascinating to read that and seeing what the people of Shoshoni actually want to have done. I'm on board to help accomplish that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so thanks for response. That we have the next question is, and I'll go at random again here. What issues in Shoshoni do you feel are the most important to address immediately? And please, would you like to start again? Okay, now we're gonna go in order. Right? Now we're gonna go in order. We're out of order, now this is all out of order. Okay, Freddie, would you please, what do you believe the responsibilities of a council person are on the council?
I believe the responsibilities of a city council member is first and foremost safety. Safety of them, safety of the people, okay? Now I know that may seem a little bit greedy, I guess, but we have to protect the city council. It's just safety, you know. I've always been taught that safety has always, you know, come first for the council and everybody else. So, and with the police chief here and the rest of the officers, I firmly believe that if we have a neighborhood watch, it could be even safer. Another issue, I think, the children also need something else. One of my projects that I do want to work on is, I don't know how many people know where the ice skating pond was or is, the old one over there. And I would like to see that rebuilt and have the children like me ice skate on it, you know, learn to ice skate, and it was fun. It was fun. So I just think the children, safety, and our senior citizens, disabled veterans are the things that we need to work on.
Pardon me. Okay, Jordan, here's a question for you. What differences and challenges do you believe exist between your active involvement in the community and that being of a council member?
I think a challenge for me is, I guess within the community, I coach, I'm a father, I'm a husband, businessman as well. And so, you know, being stretched, you know, like Mark mentioned, you know, the dean at the college, big role there. So I think, you know, having a lot of things going is a challenge. But I think being able to be that involved within the community is a reward in the sense of you see it firsthand, and a part of it firsthand. And so being involved that much allows you to be out and about within the community and hear different ideas or issues that maybe you're not aware of. So I think it's a reward that kind of, you know, stretches your time some too.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Bob Zint, what do you believe is the greatest issue facing Shoshone currently? What's the greatest issue facing Shoshone currently?
Setting priorities would be the greatest issue. As a council member, people come up with multiple ideas, everything from, we want to put some, chemical on the street to stop the dust by the railroad tracks at one time. Or we want to expand, put in a sewer line. Greatest issue is setting priorities and say, what do we need to spend our money on, our time on? Example of that is, last budget meeting, we had, found out we had 30+ water meters that were not working properly. And yet we had a water engineer say, we have to know where our water is going. Is that an issue? And if so, why do we keep on raising our rates every year when we have 30+ water meters broke? We have to decide what is the priority to put our money and time on, is, for me, is the greatest issue. So it could be fixing the roads that haven't been chip sealed for 20+ years, fixing water meters, building new houses for people, grading the roads, salary increases for employees. The greatest issue in my mind is, what is our priorities, and deciding as a council, this is it.
How would you approach fixing? How would you approach fixing that issue that you see of there not being a priority in the town of Shoshone, in the city council? And you've been a member, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So what would be your approach to helping that or changing that, if you will?
We have a long range planning for 20 years. We're working on one right now for water. Example for water is that we're supposed to DEQ last meeting Tuesday. We're told DEQ wants us to repaint the interior of the water tank. Now, that's going to take 3 weeks. So where's the town of Shoshone get water for 3 weeks? Those type of things, as a council, we have to decide, oh, do we build another water tank on the other end of town? Do we ship in water? Do we just use one well and hope there's no fires? We need to look at our planning that we have, our long-term planning issue for water, for growth, for streets, all the stuff, and say, where does this issue fit in that long-term plan? And review it. That's something that, as council, we really don't do very well, is review that long-term plan.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that information.
We're allowed to add to that, right?
45 seconds.
On Bob's note of priorities, I think my standpoint, you don't have water, you don't have a town. So I think your biggest priority is probably to have water. You know, most important thing at this juncture for my stake is water. You know, it's water. You gotta have water. Whether you have a child, whether you're a senior citizen, you gotta have water. There's no questions asked. So I think that is the top priority.
I'd like to add something too, if I could. And
You may, 45 seconds.
45 seconds, that's what I've heard.
Thank you.
Sure. The town has a strategic plan. You know, and if a strategic plan is working the way that it's supposed to work, it really does guide the long-term planning. That's what it's supposed to be doing. And if it's not being used now, well, then it should be. And if it's not being used now because it was just a great academic exercise, well, let's get one that works. You know, so I think that there needs to be a common goal and a common direction, and that's what a strategic plan provides for us.
Thank you. Do you have anything to add to that one? Okay.
No.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, Mark, how will you balance friendships, alliances, which might be in conflict with the best interests of Shoshone?
you know, it really boils down to what's best for the town. It has to be about the town. And I would hope that in a friendship situation, the friend would understand that my job as a councilman is to be able to support the town as best as I possibly can. And if that's too much of a problem, then I guess they really weren't my friend in the first place, you know? And as far as our acquaintances go, you know, we all need to be sharing the common goal and the common direction, and it's to then go in the same direction. So communication and talking about it and having the dialogue between each other in an open sort of, way, just, and even bringing in those who are adversarial to the plan, make them a part of the discussion and have a true Shoshone-based discussion on what is best for the town. Right now at the college, I'm dealing with something that I know that it's going to be unpopular. And so what I'm doing is I'm bringing the adversaries to the proposal right up front and letting them know exactly where I'm at and where I'm headed, and gives them an opportunity to build their argument against it. But it also makes it better for the college, I believe, because this way everybody knows that there's no secrets, there's no alliances, there's those types of things that just really get and spur trouble. So I'm just trying openness, transparency is huge. And so let's have those discussions.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Any rebuttals to that, or anybody would like to add to, rather, pardon my verbiage. This is my first time, so I appreciate y'all bearing with me. I'm learning. I'm a work in progress, as we all are, so thank you for that. Okay, we're gonna go back to Freddie Ellis, please. Did I forget somebody? Did I forget- Bob, did I forget you?
Nope, just helping you. Nope.
Well, I need all the help I can get, so thank you. Okay, Bob, we're gonna go back to this, a question. Housing and business development have been mentioned as top priorities over the previous 4 years. How will you seek to bring ambition to fruition in the next 4 years if you're reelected?
Would you repeat the question?
Yes, I shall. Housing and business development have been mentioned as a top priority over the previous 4 years. How will you seek to bring ambition to fruition in the next 4 years if reelected? So that would be ambition to fruition.
I see Shoshone as a bedroom community. It's never gonna become, you know, we get 3,000 people in 50 years. It will be a big town. So the issue right now is housing. Right now, the school district has, signed, building permit Tuesday night. They're gonna build a house on the corner of 7th and Maple for their employees. And they want to continue to do that. So housing is the big issue. It's gonna, to me, having a private contractor coming in town and saying, I want to buy up to 18 lots and put in housing isn't going to happen. One, banks say little towns don't have the money, and houses in Shoshone are not worth the same price as they are in Riverton because of location. So we need to work with current landowners. There's plenty of empty lots in town to say, what will you do to help our town? Are you willing to sell? Some people are just sitting on property that they're not willing to sell right now. The town has acres they want to expand. But that's gonna take a while to do because there's sewer there, water is available, but it's not land to individual lots. So before we get businesses, think we need to do housing, and that's gonna be done through private people, not through some big contractor. And, yeah, that's my answer.
Okay. Thank you. All right. We're gonna go back up to here, yes? You
You're
assisted me
moderating.
with that?
Pick who you want. what
You're my
question to ask.
coach this evening.
I was just marking out the ones you've asked, so you don't.
Oh, is that what that was? I didn't know what those marks were. Okay. This will be for, Freddie Ellis. What issues in Shoshone do you feel are most important to address immediately? That's the one I asked before, but obviously I was rerouted to speak to somebody else other than Freddie.
Moderator.
Huh? So I'm gonna ask it again and then maybe I'll get on my own same page, okay? Sorry for any confusion, guys. What issues in Shoshone do you feel are most important to address immediately?
Hmm. That's a very good question. There's a lot of issues that need to be addressed. But I feel with the leadership of the town, of the mayor, the current mayor, and also the past mayors and the city council themselves, we have addressed a lot of important things. But I think the most important thing would be the safety of the citizens and the safety of the council. Because how are we supposed to protect anyone else if we can't protect our council members? You know what I mean? But I was always taught that safety was or is the number one thing we need to look out for. Now, with that being said, a lot of people think, you know, safety is a secondary thing, and it's really not. How can you do something? How do you expect to finish something without injury if you're not being safe yourself? You know, but I'm thinking public safety, which Chris and his officers are doing one heck of a great job. Thank you for that, you know, protecting us. And, yeah, public safety is number one.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Jordan,
I would like to add,
would you like, that's fine, go ahead, you may.
I think at this point, based off our location, in conjunction to, you know, our water and that situation, I kind of added prior to that question, but I think in this situation, being where we're at and having some sort of medical, you know, response, especially for our younger families that have children and our seniors, being able to have some sort of action to, you know, respond appropriately in case of those emergencies, instead of waiting on a 40-minute ambulance, and that's best case scenario. And so I think, you know, that leads to a little bit of how we can help in that aspect. And I know that Chris and his staff has taken some measures to be able to, you know, respond and administer what they can, but to continue to look into how we can best do that.
I like to respond to.
Go ahead.
So I've been walking around town introducing myself, handing out cards, this is me, to different people, you know, different in the just knocking on doors and handing out cards, basically. And you know, a common theme that I'm getting is, and this goes right along with what Bob had been saying, and that was taking care of our infrastructure. You know, infrastructure is roads, it's the water that we've talked about, it's the water situation that's being addressed. And so, but the infrastructure, not only improvements, but also the infrastructure, just maintenance, just, you know, is vital to maintaining Shoshone as Shoshone. Another part of that is maintaining roads. You know, and we have, I know we have a couple of neighborhoods north of town here that the roads basically look like two tracks. And it would really be nice to make them look like at least the other roads where the bumps are removed and things are leveled out, and then gravel is added as well to make it more drivable as far as, just being able to get home and also to get to work. So infrastructure, I think, is a critical part of issues that need to be addressed.
Our roads will be graded after it rains.
Work. In response to, Mr. Jordan's, ambulance ride for 40 minutes, there is in the works, there is an ambulance that is, we're trying to get, we don't have it in place, everything in place yet, but we're 80% of getting our own ambulance for this town. So, and that ambulance can take you either to Riverton or Thermopolis. It's your choice, actually. But it is in the works. It's not set in stone right now, but it is in the works. So we're trying to get it. We're almost there. So we just need a few more signatures. We need a few more, people to say yes on it, and as in higher ups, the higher echelon. But it is in the works. We are almost there. We've almost got it. So we just need a little bit more time.
Okay, thank you. Pardon me if I may, when you refer to we, who's we?
The town of Shoshoni.
Pardon me, the town of Shoshoni
Yeah.
is in that, getting close to, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's see. Where am I at now? He's so good at it before.
Thought you had it.
You thought I had it. I'm getting better. I'm a work in progress. Okay, Jordan. He was speaking so nicely and then I thought, well, thought it was going to him. But anyway, Jordan, this question is for you. Denmark?
Those are the ones you already asked. Now you're on work.
Oh, pardon me. So I guess this question is for Mark.
Mhm.
Mark,
Yes, ma'am.
what is your philosophy of government's role in business activity?
So I think, so we're really talking about economic development and what is our town's responsibility for economic development. And it starts off with having the right infrastructure, it's having the right attitude, it's being positive and pro-business to be able to attract businesses to come in. So it's just really important that government would lay the foundation in order to provide the right location for certain businesses to come and establish themselves. So, you know, the government has to be a part of it. We aren't trying as a government to try to run the business, but we do have to encourage business to come. And why would we want to do that? Well, you know, first of all, we have people in Shoshoni that could be looking for jobs. And so it's a part of jobs. And then as people have good jobs, good paying jobs, and at that point, they're able to support their families, but then they also are able to better support Shoshoni and Fremont County in general as well. So it's just important that government lay the foundation, the government lay the group in order for businesses to say, you know what, Shoshoni would be a great place to establish my business, whether it's a 2-person shop or a 30-person shop. I mean, we just need to do our part to attract those businesses and bring them here.
So do you think that the government should utilize the taxpayer resources to help promote business growth?
I think they should, because as you bring people in, they're also going to be paying taxes themselves. So it's really an investment. So yeah, absolutely, I do.
Okay, so the answer is yes. Thank you.
The answer is yes, yes.
Okay,
I'd like to respond.
yes, you may.
Another part of government in business is deciding, listening to the community, say, what type of businesses we want in our community. So do we want to have, let's say, a steel mill in Shoshoni? And, or something like that. What type of a business do we want? And we need to listen to the people and say, hey, we do not want to have the mushroom farm turned into cultivation for marijuana, cannabis. Those things we need to listen to the community and say yes or no. So that's another part of government, of community responsibility or government responsibility for the community and say, we want this, or we do not want this. It also goes into zoning as well.
Go ahead, Jordan.
I think piggybacking on Bob a little bit, but I think that plays a role some. But I think we also need to look and see if that, whatever business is interested in being here is gonna be sustainable. Depending on the economic development piece of it, whether the town is gonna help provide a piece of property or what that looks like, is it gonna be sustainable? Are we gonna put in, you know, a Super 8 here and nobody's gonna book a hotel? It's not gonna sustain itself. And then it's just gonna be a desolate building at some point. So I think that brings a, you know, a measure in there. But I think the other side of it is also the businesses we attract, whether it is a large or a small business, those, like Bob said previously, are gonna be your individual builders that in turnkey build a home here. So, depending on, you don't want to overstep your bounds, but, I think the town's role is trying to attract the business, and the business that we do attract, we need to figure out how we can get them here. And if it's at a cost of next to none to attract them here, rather than playing a portion of, hey, well, we got this piece of property, let's sell it for top dollar. I don't think that's the right mindset. I think we got a business that's interested here. It's gonna be a business that's gonna benefit our town. We got a piece of property they're interested in. Hey, let's see what we can do to make that happen. And if that means we about give a piece of property away, why not?
Boss, I think we're back up here. Do you concur? Yes. Okay, this question is for Freddie Ellis. Relationships with various committees and government, private officials are critical to advocating the needs of Shoshoni. How will you seek to rebuild or build important relationships across the county and the state as well?
Today in Pavilion, I met up with a group of mayors from all the other towns. You know, Pavilion, Lander, Hudson, Shoshoni here, and they have informed me of a lot of their interests, and I've learned a lot of things from them. As far as, is it friendship with,
Would you like me to repeat it for you?
yes, please.
Okay. It says, relationships with various committees and government / private officials are critical to advocating the needs of Shoshoni. How will you seek to rebuild or build important relationships across the county and the state?
Like I said, I was at that meeting today and I learned a lot, and I think that they are doing a good job working together with themselves to build not only the town, say Pavilion, but also Lander, Hudson, Shoshoni, along with that, building a friendship with the other mayors of the towns is a very good thing, because it tells everybody that we are working together to better the towns and whatever they need. Whether it be construction, whether it be emergency services, whether it be a broken water main or something, you know, we can always, you know, pitch in together and help cover the cost of another town if they need it. You know, most of the time, no, but they won't need it, but just in case, you know.
Okay, thank you. Anyone respond to that? Go ahead.
I think sometimes our relationships have been damaged, and going into a position I would probably say, what's the past history? Why did this occur? What events happened to cause this rift between, let's say, the school and the town, or Shoshoni Pavilion, whatever? What's the root cause? And look at that and say, okay, this is the root cause. How can we work on that cause instead of letting it continue to fester? I think that's one important fact, is to look at the cause of if there's a rift. The other part is continue to communicate, say, we need to share ideas. People, an example, when they tore down Sid's block, basically, it was a county effort, not just the town, but showing multiple entities helped. From Job Corps to Riverton to county landfill, people all helped.
Okay. Did you have something you'd like to add to
I
that? Go
do.
ahead.
You know, I think it's real important if you're working on relationships. First of all, you gotta show up. You know, be a part of the committee and be there and participate actively in a constructive way, you know, and then team up. So you could be a part of the team and going in the same direction and work on those projects that would benefit, you know, Shoshoni. And then the third thing is just be a reliable partner. You know, so if you say you're going to do something, then do that. Build a track record of success with that organization.
Okay, the next question is going to be for Jordan. How will you ensure all viewpoints are considered on matters facing the government body? And what is your belief on citizens' viewpoints versus decisions made by the governing body?
I think you have to listen to the community, as they live here, you know, and they reside here. So I think their viewpoint matters. They're who elected you. They're who, you know, put you in office. And so I think their opinion matters certainly. But you have to definitely hear them. That doesn't mean they're always right. Doesn't mean your decision is always right or your belief is always right. But I think you have to be open-minded and hear people out, because at times you can have your opinion on whether the belief is or decision that's being made. But when you hear somebody else's opinion, it could make you reflect and give you a different aspect, and cause you to maybe look at the scenario or the decision that's being made and say, hey, well, you have some valid points and maybe I need to reflect this in a different light. But I think that's the whole purpose of a community. I think we're fortunate in this town because we are so small, and it is a pretty tight-knit town for the most part. I mean, there are some people that don't know people and stuff, but for the most part, pretty much everybody knows everybody. But yeah, I think that pretty well answers that.
Okay, very good.
Did a good job answering that.
Yeah. Ditto.
You all have a tendency to agree with that. Yeah, is that what you're saying? You're like, okay, we like that one. Okay, great. Thanks, Jordan. Okay, Bob, this question is for you. What do you believe are the greatest external and internal challenges facing Shoshoni in the next 4 years? It's the greatest challenges facing Shoshoni in the next 4 years.
I'll start with the external. I'll go outside mandates. We're getting items coming down from the state, from feds. An example is the water tank. DE keeps saying, you have 6 months to pay for this, to get your water tank painted. And it's gonna cost $72,000. And the town says, where am I gonna get the money? So that goes to the internal part. Back to external, is the effects of the national economy will affect Shoshoni in oil and gas production. The effects of the election will be an external factor of who the president is, because this town is very conservative as a whole, and we are industry-based. That's where we'll get a lot of our people is based upon industry, oil and gas, agriculture. those are not most awkward occupations. And because they're conservative based, basically. So politics on a national level will affect us. So that's external. Internal is setting your priorities and saying, where am I gonna spend my money? So, I look at the anthill in the town's parking lot and say, oh, why hasn't that been eradicated? Did you know that? There's an anthill there, Chris?
Eradicated?
Yeah, you want an anthill in the middle of your parking lot, town hall?
Pardon me?
I mean, there's an anthill.
Oh, you're asking me personally? No, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, so those are internal things. We're gonna put our time and money.
I can tell you what works for that, but that's another topic at another time. Go ahead.
Yeah. So
Okay, all right. Would that be internal or external, Bob?
internal will decide where you put.
That's what I
time
would
and money.
think. Okay. Anybody else like to respond to that? Thank you, Bob.
I think from an internal aspect, I think, again, I've said this before, but looking at the strategic plan that we have for the town. Is it usable? Is it workable? And because that really does guide what we do, particularly when we talk about enhancing the community itself. It talks about roads, it talks about economic developments, it talks about land usage, it talks about recreation. I mean, there's a whole list of things that it talks about. Economic, like I said before, economic development's a big part of that. So it really is important that if it's not the right one, let's get a good one that we can follow. And that way we get everybody on the same page and address those internal challenges in particular.
Okay.
On that strategic plan that Mark keeps mentioning, been a part of that strategic plan. In fact, been at the meetings with the Economic Development Committee, statewide at CWC with several towns, and dissected that plan in greater depths and looked at that and, served, on the behalf of Shoshoni with that plan. And, reading that plan firsthand, I can say there's a lot of strengths with that plan, but as with anything, time, right? What worked or what was planned X amount of years ago, as time changes and progresses forward, it's not a revolving change as to here we are next year, is this plan still suitable? And that's just on the economic development piece, but, granted, yeah, we want to get this road changed, but then we have a sewer main break. And then there goes that money, right? And then Bob talks about, the external and internal and the election piece. Well, if the elections, that's gonna be a big role, because depending on election, there could be a whole lot of no funding and no grants available to get funding. And so could be a viable piece on what takes place in the next few years on how we attack that strategic plan. Because if there's no money, we can have all the plans in the world, but you can have big dreams, and if there's no money in the bank, we can look at it and hope and wish.
Can I have one quick thing? And
Yes.
that would be a good strategic plan is one that is a living document. And so it also gets reviewed, and it should be reviewed at least yearly. That's something with our strategic plan at the college that we do. It's always the kind of like the guiding directive, and we then review it and update it and add to it, and we keep records of how we're meeting it and what we're doing with it. So I agree with Joe. It seems like there's a lot of good in there, but we do need the money. So how are we gonna get that? But that gets addressed in that yearly evaluation of what's going on and where can we possibly go?
Okay,
But back to that, right? That's
Yes.
Kind of like Bob's saying, setting up priorities.
Yeah.
What's the
Back
most
to
important
priorities.
thing to how we utilize our money? Whether there's a surplus of it or whether there's not much, still gotta have our priority base.
go ahead.
In addition, I'd like
Yes,
to
you may.
say, everybody's talking about, all these projects they want to do, and everything's great. you know, it's a great idea, but I'm kind of thinking that sometimes there's just a time when you need to set aside, stop spending as much money and just set aside, you know, in the bank, you know, the money for the interest to grow on, and to add more money from more grants coming in, then we can spend it more in the future. We spend more money in the future as regular projects and emergency funds. You know, broken sewer main, or the water tower, for instance, you know, stuff like that. You know, maybe if we not you know, spend so much on certain projects now and save for the future, you know, we can afford more projects in the future. But there just comes a time when we need to stop spending on certain things and save the money for future projects.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to add to that.
Yes.
The grant piece, grants are allocated how you spend those. So you can't just get a grant and put it in the bank and save it. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
You have to spend those in a certain amount of time, and you have to match that grant based on a certain percentage. You don't just get to say, we got a sewer grant here and we'll match it in 10 years. Let us sit on it for a while. It doesn't work that way.
No.
Wish it did, but it doesn't. As far as spending goes, you gotta take what's there and you gotta roll when it's there. I mean, you can't hope, and you know, this world wasn't built on hope, right? I mean, it was at some point, right? But somebody acted. It wasn't just built on hope. Somebody had a dream and then had a vision and acted. So same goes for us. We gotta act. We can have ideas, but we gotta act. Projects, they gotta get done. The water project, it's gotta get done. No water, no town. No people, no town. You don't have nothing to drink. You don't have a way to flush your toilet. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I damn sure don't wanna walk out and carry a bucket into an outhouse. I don't think any of us do, but, I mean, we can, but I ain't gonna stick around very long. How about you?
I'm out.
Okay, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I understand. This question is for you, Mark Nordine. What do you believe to be the focus of the next governing body of Shoshoni? For the next 4 years? What do you think? What do you believe should be the focus of the governing body or the town of Shoshone in the next 4 years?
Well, I think two things. One, the immediate needs, the need that we're having to face right now with the water work that's happening now. I mean, things come up, you gotta address those things that come up. I mean, like Jordan is referencing, if you don't have the infrastructure, then, and it's busted and not working and out of commission, then frankly, you don't really have a town. So, I mean, that's the big part of it. And the second part of it, and this is the broken record part of me, following the strategic plan, updating the strategic plan, seeing where we want to go as a town council, but then also bringing that to the community. So the community is able to have their input on, this is what we did in 2021. This is where it ended up. Are we still there? What do we need to do? And where do we need to go? So it really, the voices of the people really become critical in where the town is going to be going. So, and the strategic plan is a good place to start with that. Yeah, I'm done.
Anyone have anything to add to that in your seconds? We're good. Okay. Next question is going to be for you, Mr. Freddie Alice, and the question is, how will you seek to address various opinions within the community to gain consensus on the future path of Shoshone?
Public input is very important to me. I have asked several citizens of the town what they think of the RV park, the people in the RV park. I asked them and they said everything's good to go. They like those. But some of the people in town, I listen to them and I take it up to the board meetings when they are in session.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they give me an answer I like, other times they don't. You know, can we afford to change this? What can we do to fix this? What can we do to, you know, establish a better relationship? Okay? And on those things that I don't like the answer to, I take it into consideration, and it's like, you know, they are onto something. Maybe maybe they see something I don't. Like I said, I'm new here. This is my first rodeo. So like I said, I'm willing to learn, and I've learned a lot, especially tonight, and today. Yeah. Yeah, public input is a very, very important tool to use for the city, the success of the city.
Well, thank you.
On,
Go ahead.
to me, what your key word in your question was the word consensus. And I doubt if you ever get a complete consensus on any issue.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is that we are a democracy, and basically we're a republic because we're elected to represent people. The important part is what is the best for the majority? That's what we need to focus on as the town council, the governing body, is what is the best for the majority. And there'll be minority people who will not like it at all. It just happened to me on council when I get voted down on an issue, you know, so you live with it.
We sure do.
I
Okay.
think on that, you know, like Bob's mentioning, I think you have to, as a councilman and as a community member, I think you have to not take things personal. Whether it's your idea that's brought up or whether it's the community member's idea that's brought up, whether it goes in favor or not in favor. I think, you know, the biggest thing is seeing it with an open mind and just understanding that it's not personal.
Good add-on. Okay. Okay, next question, Jordan, is going to be for you. What do you think should be the most important area of focus for Shoshoni in the next 4 year? And how would you seek to achieve this goal? The most important thing in the next 1 year.
I think the most important thing right now is to continue updating our infrastructure, continue our water study that's in place, and getting our water up to par and making sure that we have a suitable water supply, and then continue our economic development and growth in that aspect, and how we can best attract that piece. But without the economic development piece, it's a hand-in-hand thing, right? The housing, we got to have infrastructure. Our power supply here is already almost at its top piece of game. It's got to be grown. The little station over here can't really take a whole lot more before it's essentially at its max capacity, if you will. So that brings into the piece of, if the town grows much more, we're kind of at a standstill on the power supply here. So, I mean, there's several issues that are to grow. I mean, we can grow, right? We can grow all day long, but we've got to be able to power, water. And so those issues are our power and our water. And then obviously the economic piece, economic development piece of how we can go hand in hand, but without being able to have enough power supply to be able to add 18 or 20 homes or another business the size of a mushroom farm or a steel mill like Mr. Zent was saying, or whatever it is. We've got to have the power supply to do so. And when that's at max capacity, well, arises a larger issue, I think. So tackling those pieces, I think.
Anything to add to that? Huh? Okay. Okay, this question is gonna be for you, Bob. And it's, what priorities of the, current governing body do you believe need to be reconsidered, changed, or focused on during the next 4 years?
I think we need to step back and look at what the town looks like from someone who comes through town and say, how does it appeal, the curb appeal of the town? So if I drive through town, I see 2 highways and that's it, and a couple buildings that are derelict, boarded up, whatever, empty. I see empty lots. The curb appeal of town is one factor that distracts people from it. If you drive through the town on the back roads, they're washboards because they haven't been graded because there's no rain. I understand that. So one that I think we need to look at is, instead of focusing so much on the future development and housing and everything else, what can we do to give the town a facelift? And that would be one, encouraging people to use water. And every year since I'm on board, we've always raised water rates. But we still need water meters to be fixed. One of those water meters is mine. It has not been fixed in 3 years. So we need to take care of what we have right now. To me, that's my current priority. I don't see the housing in the 40 acres west of town happening for 5 to 10 years.
Anything else to add to that? Reconsidered, change back to the water. Interesting about the curb appeal. I like that. Okay, but it doesn't matter what I like or not. I don't have a horse.
I think that's a legit point.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it
Yeah.
definitely needs to be more attractive, to the eye, for sure. And I certainly believe there's some inexpensive things that can be done. One of which I've mentioned to several people that I think would be a step in the right direction. Like we've made not we, but the town council and the mayor and others made the step to have the medical clinic and the rehabilitation center here. And spend some money on the inside of that place to remodel it and make it nice. Inexpensive to put a coat of paint on the outside and make the outside as nice. Our town shop, fairly inexpensive to put some windows in it, also put a coat of paint on. I mean, some simple ways. Fairly inexpensive to throw some grass seed between the sidewalk on the right of ways as you come into town and, instead of it just being weeds that are mowed. I think there's some ways we can, lighting would be a curb appeal as well. But yeah, I do think that,
Yeah.
looking at it from afar, I do think that's a great idea.
Go ahead.
I guess kind of building on what these guys are talking about and the curb appeal, I think, I agree, it's a great statement. And what can we do through volunteers? That's kind of something I've been chatting about, thinking about, and can we have a team of volunteers that live in Shoshoni band together to help remove weeds, to help scrape off old paint and put on new paint on the exterior, trying to create that better look as people drive through. Already I had people tell me, wow, Shoshoni's really moving forward. Well, let's keep that going, but through volunteers and working, you might say it's our own, Shoshoni civilian conservation corps, to get out there and do work and do some of those projects.
Mhm.
And you know, you get 10 people working on, you know, a couple yards and working on weeds and doing some other stuff. I mean, the payback could be huge pretty quick. You know, particularly, well, and there's right times of the year to do that too, but
Mhm.
I just, through volunteer efforts, I think we could do a lot that really wouldn't cost anything except people's time, and people love Shoshone. We love Shoshone, we live here, let's make our town look better.
Do you, Bob, anything else? Okay.
I was thinking about the idea of the highway. Um, all of Second Street, the, I'll call it the boulevard, between the sidewalk and the highway, belongs to the state of Wyoming, the highway department. And so that's where you have to go back and build relationships with the other entities. And say, okay, highway department. Okay, you come along, I want to plant grass here, but you come along every winter and you put gravel on your highway and then you plow and all my grass is covered up with stuff you throw on the highway. It's not worth my time and effort. So that's where we need to discuss with the state highway department, say, hey, can you plow to the middle instead of to the sides?
Priorities.
So those are things, you know, if we're talking about curb appeal, you know, people, I used to live on Second Street and it's not worth it trying to plant grass there because it's just covered up with stuff on the highway.
All right, the next question is going to be for you, Mark. And this will be the last set of the debate questions, and then we'll go into a different part of it, okay? This question is, what do you believe is your single greatest strength that you bring to Shoshone Town Council is? Greatest strength.
I would think it's my years of public service and what I have learned through those years of public service, again, both in the Air Force and then also working as a dean at the college. I've learned how to collaborate. I've learned about partnerships. I've learned about, you know, setting priorities based on what our mission happens to be at that time. I mean, so there's a lot of good skills that have come from that I have been able to garner over those years. So I just think my years of public service would pay off. You know, I'll just leave it at that.
I think I'll answer that question.
Pardon me?
I think I'll answer that question.
Well, that's what I was gonna suggest, actually, when
I
it
think
came
I-
to me, because actually I get an opportunity to ask my own question.
I think my greatest strength.
So you go ahead and I'll just flow with that and let it flow, and then I will ask all of you. I think it's a very important question, so go ahead, Jordan, I would like to hear that. What do you believe let me just repeat it, what do you believe your single greatest strength that you bring to Shoshone Town Council is?
I think my greatest, single strength to bring to the town council is, the fact that I got many, but I think the single greatest strength is how actively I'm involved within Fremont County. Whether it be in coaching, whether it be, in different organizations, whether it be, through our youth as an advocate, whether it be as a businessman. I think, you know, all the way from Lander to Riverton to Du Bois. I think that is my greatest strength, how active I am within Fremont County. That leads to many, relationships that can be grown and continue to be developed, that only helps be a resource and an asset to our community.
Okay, thank you. Bob? And you the same question? What do you believe your single greatest strength that you bring to the Shoshoni Town Council? And I understand that you are currently on the council, so.
I say to listen to that and to ask questions.
Go ahead.
I believe my biggest. I think the biggest thing I can bring to the council is asking questions and the ability to learn from those questions from the current and past leaderships that we have. Like I said, I don't have as much experience as these gentlemen do, but I am willing to learn. I am willing to already have tough skin. You can't insult me. My feelings were burned out in boot camp. But anyway, like I said, it's just the ability to learn, the ability to ask questions on things I don't understand. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, thank you very much. Excuse me. We're not gonna do any questions. They don't, okay, thank you.
Do whatever you want.
I'd made a few notes, just in general, that kind of came up to me or in my thought process when some of you gentlemen were speaking that I wanted to expound upon. Mark, I understand, because I heard you, and maybe because I do not live here in Shoshone. I am a Wyomingite. I am part of Fremont County. So I have interest, obviously, in everything for this state, a great love for it. And I hear you speaking about CWC. So is there something else that's going on? And pardon my ignorance, this is why I'm asking. Is there something else that's going on in Shoshone that are neighboring other than education, I think, which is great itself, education for growing up and better understanding in life. I think education is key. But you're referring to CWC. Is there something in conjunction with Shoshone that is working presently with CWC or no?
CWC is part of our service area because Fremont County is a.
Yes,
part of our
yes,
service
okay,
area. So
okay.
that's kind
Okay.
of the tie.
I didn't know if there was an addition, if there was something else going on that I just wasn't aware of, okay? Yeah,
We have students at the college from Shoshone. You know,
And-
so
for the record, I am an alumni from CWC, not once but twice, so I think it's a great thing we have in Fremont County, absolutely.
I'm a bit biased and I would absolutely agree.
Yeah, well, on that note, I might be a little biased. Excuse me. Talking about, priorities, which is key, Bob, and you spoke a lot about, the priorities, everybody and other people, which is real obviously important. You got to put out the fire, you got to have water before you can drink, you got, some things build that they will come, but once people come, it has to be sustainable. So priorities, and pardon my ignorance, but of priorities, how do you really feel like you could actually get to those top priorities and have that support?
One, you have to be able to talk to the people in town, the town hall, the police department, the maintenance department, clerks, treasurers, to get information from them, the staff, anybody who works in town, for the town of Shoshone. That's one source of information.
Mm-hmm.
And saying, oh, well, number 4 is down, well, this is the problem. So that communication thing, these are right now, this rabbit escaped. And instead of looking for the rabbit, say, how do we find it? what can we do? So that's the first place you do is talk to your staff. It doesn't matter what department. The second, you talk to the community, you listen to the community needs. You know, Mark said, no, the roads in town need to be graded. I said, yeah, it hasn't rained. I agree with him. And he'll understand, he's lived here long enough. You only grade roads in Shoshoni when after it rains. It makes sense because you'll just break it up and that's how the roads are. But talk to the community. The community changes. When I moved here in 81, people were driving to Gas Hills to work,
Yes. Mhm.
okay? That doesn't happen anymore. So where do our people live to work? A lot of people go to Riverton. A lot of people go out to Lysite. In town itself, very few. So talk to the community, what do they need? You know, and say, not only in the Jordan's brought back, the part of the youth and keeping them occupied and stuff like that. That's one part, but what about the other people? One, we have no internet service in our town, basically. There's no line. You know, I'm one of the, I think there's two people in town, I'm one of them, who have access to high-speed internet. That's because it runs, the unit is on my property where I live.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else in town either has to use a magnifier or whatever you call it, but it's terrible internet service. So look at things like that in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So that's prior, so that's what the community wants. They give us that information. You know, the locals here say, yeah, I understand roads will be graded when it rains. Or I understand that we need to do something with water. The people who live here long enough understand those, it takes time. But they have their priorities. We want internet. Is an example.
Okay. So the priorities. Well, thank you for being in the council. And Jordan, you have children, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're involved in the sports and really ingrained in the community,
Yes, ma'am.
and the future in the community,
Yes, ma'am.
in your children's future in the community. And the medical, and I'm just gonna say off the cuff,
My wife's mother lives here. My wife's grandma lives here, who is,
generational,
yes, several generations.
many
here.
generations, you know?
My great grandpa Clifford Albright, built the dam at Boyson here. Buried at the cemetery, but long line of generation here.
For myself as a Wyomingite, proud to be, but I had to go other places for education, so I know what it's like to be in a smaller town and go to get the education, invest back into the community and take care of ailing parents. And then becoming an ailing non-parent myself, it's created a whole nother avenue, and it's a huge thing. I think medical is a huge issue.
Freddie actually lives in the house that my great grandpa grew up in.
Oh, I love that. And I love that Freddie and his wife, how beautiful that they've come into this community. I see a lot of hope for this area, as in the kind of an outsider, because I don't have a horse in this race. I really don't know any of you gentlemen. Personally, may have met you, and like when I went to introduce myself, and like, I don't, because I wear many hats. My favorite hat is a cowboy hat. People see me, I'll usually have something on top of my head, and a lot of times but I wear many hats. I'm multifaceted, so I'm happy to be here, and I'll just want to say thanks for bearing with me, because this is my first time doing this as well. I want to they're going to just do like a roundup at the end. There seems to be no other questions from the community at this time. Has anything changed? Okay. Getting darker, right? Yeah. Anyway, I just want to thank all of you, no matter what, for your service. And veterans, very near and dear to my heart. And, my father was a World War II vet. I have brothers in Air Force and service, so hats off to you, all the respect. And I think the number one shadowing thing, there's so much indecision going on right now. And yes, this is election time and it's a very, very heated. And it's affecting everyone, and it will affect this area greatly as well on many levels, as it will the whole, not only United States, but the world, in my viewpoint. And, you know, Wyoming is rich in minerals. And we know what it's like. And so there's a lot of challenges, gentlemen. So I just really would like to take my hat off to you. And just thanks for stepping up, you know, and trying to find a balance. That you're in the game and you bring some new things. So I see things at all of you. You know, from an outsider kind of looking in. And is there anything else? We're gonna just round it up and just, let's see here. Let me look at my notes. To see, make sure I don't short anybody on anything, okay? Okay, we're just gonna go ahead, since there are no questions from the participants, and thanks again, y'all. I know you're here supporting the Sure Towns, but I just want to thank you because I know a lot of other things are going on. So I'm glad you're here for the support and for the community in the town of Shoshoni. Okay, each candidate, you're gonna get 1 minute and 30 seconds. This is gonna be to make any closing statements if you would like. So I'm just gonna let it be like this. Who would like to start first?
I haven't started yet.
Will you go, you haven't? How did I do?
I don't think I have. Well, maybe I.
Please forgive me, Mark. Would you please do us the honor to see me and make a closing statement for us on your behalf? And thank you.
So Phyllis, thank you for moderating this, this question and answer, and you might say debate, but I'd say it's more of a question and answer time period. And I think it's important for the town to be able to hear all of us and our perspectives. We haven't lived here forever, but we've lived in Fremont County for 23 years. And we have been impressed with what Shoshoni is. We are impressed with, my wife and I are impressed with where Shoshoni is going. I've been in community service, as I've said, all my professional life, and I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to try to serve on the town council. I believe, again, I'm a problem solver, and with the infrastructure challenges that the town is facing, I believe that can really be quite beneficial. So, and I'm also a collaborator. You know, why can't we all get along and talk and, you know, even bring in those different opinions, because those are really important ones for us to be able to hear, because they're part of the solution as well. You know, so I just appreciate this opportunity. I appreciate the time. I appreciate meeting these gentlemen up here and getting to know them better, getting to know their thoughts. And I just, again, thank you for taking the time to be here.
You're welcome. And thank you again for many things and just for being you. Okay, Bob.
I'm still formulating my thoughts.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
You're not behind. I'm just waking up now. I'm like,
Um,
would you like a couple more minutes?
yeah, go to somebody else.
Okay. Jordan, would you like to, or would you prefer to,
I'd like a few more minutes myself.
pardon me?
I'd like a few more minutes myself.
Okay, but anybody, well, actually, I know we're trying to get it wrapped up, but you know, we haven't had a break. But does anybody need to go to the facility or, okay. It's a late date. Freddie, would you please do us
Sure.
the honor? Thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for everybody here for coming, and, you know, hopefully we persuaded your vote to one of us, you know, I'm the best one of us. I do want to thank you, Jeannie and Jay, for making this possible, you know, for us being here, and thank you, Chris, for maintaining order and being a timekeeper. And as for you, Phyllis, I want to say thank you for your support for our veterans. Thank you for your family's, service. Respect goes both ways. I understand that. And I just want to say thank you for your support. For without you, I don't think we would have anything to really fight for, you know, to be honest. But I just want to say thank you for everybody here, you know, especially, you know, Ricky and Chris for the internet, you know, and thank you, Mr. Owl, for functioning properly. So, and thank you, gentlemen, for a really informative session. You know, I wish, whoever is voted in, I wish them the best of luck. So definitely, thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Go ahead, Bob.
Yes, I'd like to thank all the people here I'm running against. They have good ideas. They are able to state them clearly. And I hope they got their thoughts across as they wished. For me, there's things I'd like to do, finish up on the council, getting lights, taking care of the water issues. Those to me are important for the community safety and health wise. I feel housing will come eventually. It's not going to happen overnight. Businesses will come. The question is, how receptive will the council be to different and new ideas? That's going to be one of the challenges for the council. And I don't know what those new ideas are yet, but there'll be some new challenges for us. Who's ever on that council.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody for putting it on. Big shout out to the senior center for hosting and everything they do for our senior citizens. I think they're often a group that goes unnoticed. You know, I know that they're a group that is based on their size is one of the smaller senior centers. And I know that they're open 6 or 7 days a week. Don't quote me, but, I believe, they're one of the ones at this size that is probably open more days than any other at this size. So huge shout out to them and what they do for our community. So, I think they're, an outfit that goes unrecognized. So thanks for hosting us tonight. And, you know, good luck to the group that I'm running against. And, I would appreciate your guys' vote. Please make an educated vote. And I think an educated choice, I think I'm one of the 2 available seats based off of my longevity here, many generations here, and my love for Shoshoni and my best interest for Shoshoni. And I say Shoshoni as a whole. I think I have a lot of valuable that I bring to the table, and I can provide a lot of feedback. I also am not one that'll sit back and just nod my head yes when I don't agree with something. Anyone that knows me or has been to the town council meeting, if I'm not in favor of something, I'll get up and let you know. I will definitely speak out if I don't agree with something. I'm not just gonna nod my head yes because somebody else agrees with it. I think Bob will sit up here and contest to that. When I've been at a council meeting, if I've not agreed with something, doesn't matter who you are, I'm gonna let you know. Sometimes I'm wrong on that. Could be a drawback, but I see it as a benefit because I'm not a yes man. And I will ask questions. And sometimes it's to gain information for myself to better understand, but it's to make the best choice for our community and our people that, if elected in, to best represent our community. So again, I ask you to vote Jordan Whitener for town council. And again, thanks for everybody that's been here and showing interest tonight and put this on. And thanks for this.
You're welcome. I'd like to give all of you gentlemen a round of applause and your families also that support you in this because, yeah, Well, I just wish you all really good luck. And I know you're all here really for the right reasons. And I feel a lot of heart in the room. So really good luck. You all have some, I think, wonderful things that you bring differently to the table. So, and that's my, that's just me observing that. So just thank you for allowing me to be here, and it's a great learning process for me too. So thanks, guys. Be well. And God bless you all. Okay, God bless America. And thanks all veterans.